There's a number of problems that family businesses can come across. One of the major ones from my perspective is a lack of communication between shareholders, and from a personal perspective, that's the key, I think, to family businesses: communication between the family members and being realistic and open and honest about what they actually want. A lot of problems derive from the fact that these issues aren't necessarily aired or discussed between the shareholders, and that can build up a lot of problems over time. And that communication can vary massively across the board, from individual wants or needs when a family member is an employee in the business with regards to the salary they're taking, through to succession type issues on who's going to take the business on. And we had one nightmare scenario where you had first generation founder of the business was still a significant majority shareholder. His son had a minority stake and grandson had a minority stake. Son had almost retired from the business. Grandson was the one who was running the business and very much the future of the business. Grandfather sadly passed away, and he left his shares to a member of the family who was very distant and had had no involvement with the business, and no one at any point had communicated with regards to expectations on what was to happen to Grandad's shares in the event of his death. And it's that lack of communication that can be a serious problem for family businesses. Succession is often a very significant issue. When is the right time for people to step aside and let the next generation through? There's also issues with the next generation in the sense of, you're bringing them into the business. And how do you overcome working with colleagues who see that they're there purely as a result of their birthright rather than necessarily on merit? And there's something to be said for sending perhaps the next generation out into the world to find their own skill set, gain their own experience, and then come into the family business perhaps later on in their life with a proven track record at that point of skills and an area where they excel, and that's usually easier integration than perhaps someone coming into the business almost as a graduate straight out of university or school or something like that. So succession and bringing in family members. You also get fallouts between family members, and unfortunately when that happens, it tends to be, when it does go wrong, it tends to go spectacularly wrong, and that's because it is personal. And whereas if that had been perhaps two business partners having a falling out, there would probably have been a commercial settlement where both of them realise there's no point arguing because there's going to be nothing left. We might as well strike a deal where we both cut our losses and we get something out of it and move on. But unfortunately with family businesses, when it does go wrong, it tends to be so personal that people just want that almost victory regardless of whether there's anything actually left at the end to have that sort of fight over. And then you also get sort of entitlement and entitlement issues and entitlement very much focuses on the next generation, and this entitlement, the next generation believe that they've got to come in and succeed and take over and run the business. But actually entitlement can be an issue for the older generation as well, where they think they might be entitled to literally stay in post forevermore until they almost depart this planet. And you look at, if your average lifespan of a CEO in a listed company is maybe 5 or 6 years, your CEO of a family business over the course of a generation could be a 20, 25, 30 year stint. So actually, entitlement sort of works both ways, but it is managing that entitlement of both incumbent generation and next generation as well.